friends. Good evening. How are you guys? Let me just check here if our sound is working. Yes, it is. So nice to have you all here, guys, tonight. At another live here. Today, we're going to be talking about chapter 25. And we're going to be talking from item 6. Let's give a few minutes here. So on the chapter 25 of the Gospel according to Spiritism, we have this chapter which is called Seek and We Will Find. So we're going to be continuing on that tonight. And item 6 says, Behold the fowls of the air. So it's a quite nice parable, one of the most, in my opinion, the most beautiful ones that we have in the New Testament. So let's just give a few minutes here and we're going to start. Okay, so let's see. Okay, here. Good. Okay. Okay, guys, so we're going to start doing our initial prayer as usual. So for those of you comfortable, I'd like to invite you to close your eyes, to take a deep breath. Let's be thankful for everything that we have, our lives, our experiences, our troubles, our glories, our friends, and also those who don't like us. Let's be thankful for our health and also for any kind of problems we may have. Because in this life, everything which is given to us is given by God, a loving Father, who would not give to his children any less good, because his heart is full of love. However, he's a just Father, and as a just being, he wants us to improve ourselves by our actions and our deeds. But he's also very patient, when with his infinite love and patience, he'll be waiting for us, at the same time supporting us throughout the journey. Even in the times that we find ourselves alone, he is there with us. Let's not forget this. Thank God, and so be it. Okay, guys. So in this item 6, we're not gonna read the entire parable, but we're gonna get a few parts. And here, this parable we can find in Matthew 6, 19, 21, 25, and 34. Jesus says, do not accumulate treasures for yourselves on earth, where worms and rust destroy it, and where thieves break and steal. But accumulate treasures for yourselves in heaven, where neither moth or rust can destroy, and where thieves do not break and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Here in this part, we have this wonderful passage where Jesus is trying to say to us basically that here, once we are on earth incarnated, we should not give more importance to the material things, to our spiritual beliefs, deeds, and our spiritual um, treasures. At the same time, we understand that once we are here on Earth, we're gonna need everything that we have surrounding us. Nowadays, we would need a computer, a mobile. In some places, we would need a car, a motorbike, whatever. We need a house, we need a shelter. At the time of Jesus, the necessities were a bit different. There were no technology per se, if you compare to the times that we have nowadays. The necessity was much simpler. But even though at that time he was trying to say to the apostles and everyone else, to not only think about these treasures, about this gold and silver, about the silk and the type of clothes that you are wearing, or even about the food that you are about to eat. But think first that you are a spiritual being, a universal being, that as we have here in the end, he will say to us that God knows all these things that we need, God knows. And sometimes we think, if God knows that I need this, why he does not give that to me? If God knows that I'm about to suffer this, why hasn't he stopped it? And we have to understand that even if God knows everything, we have the free will to act on our life. And with our free will, we can change our actions, our decisions. We can change our path, our journey. But it's not easy to us to really trust in God. Sometimes we trust much more in other stuff, but we don't trust in God. Let's say if you are taking an airplane, for sure you trust the pilot. You believe, you hope, you want to believe that he had a good night of sleep, he had a good training, the airplane itself is a good airplane. Even if we don't go inside of their plane and think about these things, we are believing that the company, their company did all their stuff to keep ourselves safe. It's the same once you buy something quite dangerous, you still believe, let's say, if you, let me try to give an example. If you buy a car, that car is going to be working because technicians were working on that car. So everything, even if you don't realize, it's a matter of believing because we're not sure. But we believe in the word, but we don't believe in the spiritual word. We believe just in matter now because we believe that because man has done it, because man has created, man has proved, so it's infallible. It cannot be damaged, and that's a big issue that we have, a big misunderstanding because we trust in things that we see. And here in this passage, it's everything is a matter of trusting things that you don't see. And once we talk about faith here, because that's what I'm talking about basically here, we have to understand that faith is not something illogical. We must have faith, yes, but as Kardec says to us, a rational kind of faith where we believe in God, not because God is someone that, some being that someone told us that is going to support and help us. It's because we see the love of God in nature. We see the love of God in creation. We see the love of God in the eyes of our children. We see, the action, the deeds of God around ourselves. But we just say it's nature. But here in this part, in the end, he says to us, stop worrying and stop saying, what shall we eat? Or what shall we drink? Or what shall we wear? For the pagans seek all of those things, but your heavenly Father, knows the thing that we need. So God knows everything that we need, as we said, but we have to ask ourselves, are we doing our part to get these things? That's why this chapter is called Seek and You Shall Find. Seek and You Find. So are we doing our part? Are we preparing ourselves? Are we studying if you want to get a better job, if you want to get a better relationship? Are we being someone nicer? Are we being kind? Are we learning how to accept the difference between each other? Or if, let's say, you want to, to study something new, are you going and searching for this new thing that you want to study? Are you searching for this new idea to come to you, or you are just waiting? So here, God knows everything that we need, but we must do our part, as we said last week. And then he says, but first seek the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and everything will be given to you. Therefore, give no thought for tomorrow, or give no thought, uh, no, sorry, give no thought for tomorrow will take care of itself. For each day the sufficient evil is there. So he's basically saying to us that each day of us, we have our sufficient evil. So things will happen every day, you know. If things must happen with us, they will happen, you know, because each day we have troubles to deal with, we have problems to deal with. So each day, it's a new day, it's a new challenge, but at the same time, it's a new blessing also. So that's why he says to us, do not think about tomorrow. Let tomorrow be. Let tomorrow come, then you deal. But then we have a trouble. Because if you take this in a literal sense, we would go against everything that Jesus said before. We should be cautious, you know, like the serpents. We should be aware of the trouble surrounding us. We should be we should be careful with those that we are exchanging energy, or where we are because of the energy, as we know in Spiritism, we have all this. Spiritism helps us to understand that our thought is a very powerful tool. So our share of the universe is given once we are spreading a thought, a word. So Spiritism brings to us this sense that we live in a world that everything is connected. Okay, so that's why if we just take this word of Jesus as a literal meaning, that will be a denial of the law of work. That's something that he spoke before. That would be a denial of the law of progress, something that the Spirit's book explains to us quite well. But Jesus also in the Bible always talks about progress, about the things that must be improved, and we must do our part, as we said. So everything, if you take everything literal, if we are just like the foes in the air, the birds in the air, waiting for the food to come to us, we would be lazy. And that's not what God wants from us. But this parable, if you take the word, the good word of it, we would see that what Jesus is trying to say to us is this: be in the word, live in the word, but do not belong to it. Do not allow yourself to be slave by matter. Do not allow yourself to be slave by technology or money or power or success. You have to understand all these things are given to us just for a moment in life. It's a momentary thing which is being borrowed to us. So this does not belong to us. We are giving this for a while, but then we pass the way, and then later on, as we have in the parable of Jesus, of the workers, we're gonna be asking ourselves, what have you done with your talent? What have you done of your work? Have you produced something good? Have you have you become someone better with the teachings that you heard from Spiritism, or you just heard here from here and allow it to live from there? So we're gonna be asked about that in the spiritual world, but by who? By God, by our guardian angel, mentor, whatever name you wanna give. No, by our conscience. So that's why we should not understand that here is Jesus is asking us to be lazy, but he's asking us live in this world, but not give all the importance to the world. So live here, stay here, but be careful, because if you give all your energy to matter, to money, to success, you will have no left to give to the spiritual life. That's why he says here, for where your treasure is, there will be your heart also. So what is our treasure? It's everything that I give. So my treasure is the energy which I give, is the words which I say to the others, is the thoughts which I produce. So this is my treasure. So if I'm only giving my treasure away for things who are not fruitful and good to me, I'm gonna be losing my my time. I'm gonna be, hurting myself and the others around me. That's why he says, because where your heart, for where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So where your energy is what is where you keep what is good for you. So, and if what's good for you is just this world, the material world, then you may be in trouble. That's why the spirits, they give to us the chance to reincarnate, to feel things and to experience things by ourselves. Because we must determine to ourselves, we must say to ourselves, okay, I can do this or I cannot do that. God does not say that to us. We have this idea that we have in the Bible or in the books, the spiritual books of all traditions, that God says to us, you should not do this. No, in fact, God does not say that to us. We gotta learn what we have to do and what we cannot do, because if we were there just allowing time to pass and not doing our part and just waiting for things to come to us, probably wouldn't be here using a computer or a mobile phone, would be in our primitive state. We would be there far away, like we were in the caves, I don't know how many years ago. But that's why God created man without clothes, without shelter. But God gave the intelligence to mankind. Okay, when I mean man, I'm talking about mankind, not a gender, man and woman. Okay, guys, just to clarify. So God did not give to man shelter or clothes or a new iPhone X13, whatever, He gave to us the intelligence to produce goods to us, the intelligence to produce medicine, to help ourselves once we are sick. It gave to us intelligence to produce gadgets where we can read, the intelligence to produce a book, you know. So God gave to us intelligence. So we have to use our intelligence in the best way possible. But because of man has this massive um, thirst for power, for treasures, for their ego and their pride to be full, we don't give the importance to what we must be giving importance, and we only care about ourselves. That's why we have to understand that this parable is just an allegory where Jesus is trying to say to us, you know, appreciate what is really true, appreciate what is really worth in life, because sometimes we only give importance to things that will vanish, sorry, with time. But we will not appreciate life in full if we don't appreciate friends, family, if you don't want to appreciate the small moments that we have in life, if you only think, as it says here, about our treasures, you know and here it's an important part that even though God gave to us the intelligence to work and to improve ourselves, if all mankind were nice with each other and we weren't selfish, we would produce every kind of food. We would produce everything um, which is necessary to all mankind to don't have any necessities. But why do we live in a world like we are living today? Because I produce something, and instead of trying to sell for the correct price for someone, I'm trying to sell 20 times more. I'm trying to sell 20 times over the price because I just want to make profit. And doing this, I'm leaving the others who have no chance to buy with no food even or even water. We see that with COVID. If you take nowadays the situation of COVID, we here in Europe, in countries, even countries like Brazil, where we know it's quite difficult, but if you compare to other countries, Brazil is in a really good position. If you compare to more poor countries in Africa, for example, or in other places such as Haiti or Haiti, I don't know how to pronounce it properly, in the middle, in the Central America, these countries, many of the population, they still haven't got even the first dosage of their COVID vaccine. While back here in Europe, in Brazil, in America, we are getting the even three, even going to the fourth, depending on the case. So we just want things for ourselves, and that's where here he tries to warning us, be careful. And as it says here in the last part of this item 6, he says to us, do not accumulate treasures on earth because they are perishable, but accumulate them in heaven where they are eternal. So, in other words, do not give material possessions more importance to the spiritual ones, and know how to sacrifice the first ones for the second. You see how beautiful it is? Because who I remember when I hear this here, learn how to sacrifice the first ones over the second. For the second. We think about Francis of Assisi. You know, a man for his time, he was born in a rich family, not rich, but a quite wealthy family in Umbria, Italy, north of Italy. You know, but he decided to leave everything behind and trying to help the others. You know, of course, maybe Francis went a bit over extreme if we to compare to ourselves nowadays, but Francis could go extremely because his spirit was more prepared. It's not like us where we have to give baby steps. So instead of saving the world, what we do, if we be nice with someone right beside us, we are doing good already. And we have to keep going these baby steps. So today I help one, tomorrow I help two, and then I help three, and we keep going like this. But it's so nice because he says to us, know to sacrifice the first ones. So we should learn how to sacrifice the material world over the spiritual world. Because, like in St. Francis' song, we understand that the real life is not here, it's in the spiritual world, like André Luis says to us, like in the Spirit's book, like in the book Heaven and Hell, where spirits they suffer and they thought life was only a matter of gaining possessions, gaining treasures, gaining all the wealth possibly, and then once they passed away, they find themselves in a really difficult situation because they didn't care for a second in the spiritual world. And when I'm saying spiritual world, I'm not talking about religion. We are talking about to understand that life maybe is just a passage. Not maybe life is just a passage, but if you are someone who are an atheist, if you don't believe in anything, if you don't believe in afterlife, that's okay, as long as you are doing good, as long as you are helping each other, because then you are doing what Jesus told us to do. So you don't, it's not what you believe what makes you to become a spirit more prepared, but it's what will you do, not what you say, not the lives that you do on Tuesdays, but your actions, you know? So I'm here. It says to us that charity and fraternity are not a decreed under law. So charity and fraternity are not decreed under law. If one or the other is not in the heart, then selfishness will rule. Consequently, it is the task of Spiritism to see that both penetrate in the heart of man. So this last part here is quite nice because it says to us that charity and fraternity is not a law that men can impose to each other or that even God could impose to us because he gave to us free will. So then you can practice it or not. But if, in the other hand, we don't practice charity and fraternity, selfishness will rule the world and our heart. So we have to make a decision. We have to take a part in this time that we are now. We cannot be absent. We cannot just say like this. I'm gonna be stay here under the fence and see, how things they're gonna go, and then I will choose my direction. No, you have to fight instead of allowing the sea to bring you to any place. You should go and try to swim to the direction that you want. But at the same time, as he says here, because spirit the task of spiritism is to penetrate in the heart of man. So is the task of spiritism to create more spiritists, or the task of spiritism to make people to believe more in the works of Allan Kardec and reincarnation in the life after death? Not really, not exactly. But the task of Spiritism is to help the others to understand that once we start to do things for ourselves and the others, once we start to exercise charity over our desires and fraternity, because once we become more fraternal, we think more about, okay, I have one glass of water, so my neighbor must have one glass of water also. And someone who I don't know deserves a glass of water also. That's fraternity. Or even someone who I don't like or I don't agree, that person deserves a glass of water also. So if you don't do this, the world will become a very selfish world. And we know what's going to happen if the world is selfish. Because once we have someone around us who is selfish, we complain. Imagine if the entire world was a completely selfish place. We wouldn't enjoy, wouldn't like. And people, they would fight much more than what they are doing right now. Okay, let me go here. It's nice to have Lou here. Hi, Lou, good evening. Patrocínio also. Nice to have you guys here. And here, guys, we're gonna go to item 9, where it's called provide not goods in your purse. You know, and here on item 9, we find this on Matthew 10:9-15, where it says, provide neither gold nor silver, nor brass in your purses. Do not take a bag of your journey, nor 2 coats, neither shoes, nor yet staves, for the workman is worth its keep, if his keep. So even in Portuguese or in English, it's a quite a difficult parable to understand properly. At least I find myself, you know. But what we have to understand here, um, let's keep reading and we explain. And then he keeps going on item 10. And in whatever city or town you go to, inquire where as where who is worth to put you up to. So where can you find good people, basically, you know, in each city that you go. Then you stay there till you leave. And when you enter into a house, give your greetings. And if the house is worth, let your peace be upon you. But if it's not, then let your peace return to you. So he says here, so once you go to every city, go and find a place, you know, find a group of people. And once you are there, you may say to them, let the peace be with you, be upon you, you know. But if they refuse to accept your peace, may this peace, these good energies, these good thoughts return to you, because your goodwill is to help someone. Okay, but if that person does not want your help, okay, stay back at that. If your action is truly with goodwill and good intentions, because as Kardec explains to us in the Spirit's book, the intention of the heart is everything for the spirits. So you may say, "Ah, my intention was good," but if inside your heart your intention wasn't good, then you can be lying to the others, but your heart knows what you are saying. You know, then he says here, and whoever does not welcome you or listen your words, when you then you depart from the house or the seat and shake the dust over your feet. And truly I say to you, there will be more bearable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah in the day of judgment than for that city. So again, that's a very complex parable, because Jesus is talking about a time that perhaps if he was here today, he wouldn't say to us, you know, once you have to go to a journey, once you have to go and try to talk to people, to those who wants to listen and to hear about Spiritism. Let's say if I had to do a journey to go to another country to, you know, to do a Spiritism speech, just go and bring yourself. And we know that we have to bring our clothes and our stuff. We have to bring our shoes, our jackets, especially if you come from Brazil to Europe, for example, where it's cold. What Jesus is trying to say here to us is not that we shouldn't bring stuff with us. Again, it goes back to the other part that we were talking, that we shouldn't be carrying what's not really worth with our what is what we should not be carrying things with us that are not good with us, that are not good for us, bad thoughts, bad vibrations. We should not be carrying, any kind of hard feeling inside of our heart, if you take deeply this meaning, But of course, in the time of Jesus, he was saying this to the others, to the apostles, because he was trying to test. So if the apostle went to travel to another city and that person had no gold, had no silver, even like this, the others, they would stop, they would hear the words, they would be worth, you know, of hearing the gospel, of hearing the good news. But then we have to understand that the time of Jesus was a patriarchal system. So in the place there Jesus were, it was very, very common to help and receive, to support the travelers. But of course, we didn't have many travelers at that time. That's why the tradition was to support everyone who was coming from a faraway distance. But if we translate that to our days, and if we translate that to our daily life, perhaps we could say that once you are on the streets, and if you see someone who perhaps, is getting sick on the road, if you just stop passing by and you don't care, and you know inside your heart, inside yourself, that you could have tried to, at least to say to the person, hey, are you okay? Is there anything I can do? Even if you have no money or if you don't want to give money to that person, because you may be thinking that that person is lying in order to get attention and in order to receive uh, any kind of help, you should go and should try to call for the hospital or whatever. So you should try to do something instead of being cold and not caring about that person, or in any other situation that we have someone that is strange to us, and that person, we clearly see that that person needs some kind of assistance, even if that assistance could be just a nice word, or even that person needs, the person has a necessity of speaking, and that person perhaps is not really well, and that person is going to be saying words that we don't like, but sometimes you're going to feel inside of our heart that that person just needs to take all that uh, bad energy from their heart. So sometimes if we stop and just hear that person, we are doing a wonderful work of charity. We are being nice to that person. And here, Jesus is trying to say to us also that every place that we go, if the person does not want to receive if the person does not want to basically believe in what we believe, that we should just say, okay, thank you very much, have a good day, and keep going. Because we're going to find those ones who wants to hear, let's say about spiritism, for example. Let's say if we do a live here and that person does not like what we are saying here, that person is allowed to go. There is no problem. Spiritism should not force anyone to believe in what we believe. We should not force. But at the same time, Jesus said, you know, that just shake this dust of your sons and go away. So no hard feelings, just go away. That person does not agree with you, that's okay. You can try to go and talk to that person. Hey, do you see what have you done? Do you see what did you are you aware of what you said? And that person is still not agreeing with you. Maybe it's time for you to move on. Maybe it's time for you to go. Shake the dust off your feet and go. And perhaps, like in the beautiful message of André Luiz, that he says that everything shall pass. There will be times that the world will not comprehend what we have to say. Even friends, they might leave us, maybe because of a misunderstanding. But there are times that we have to allow things to end up and keep going, shake the dust off our feet and go somewhere else, because perhaps we're going to find new friends. We're going to find a new place where we can talk about what we believe, you know? So that's why we have to understand that sometimes it's natural for us to go and say to the world what we think, say to the others what we believe. But Spiritism, like Bezerra de Menezes says, and then here we have also that Spiritism does not force the other's conscience. So, as we should not force anyone to believe or to hear what we have to say, but we should try to show if Spiritism is good or not, or what we believe and what we say is good or not by our actions, by the results of what we say, by the results of what we do. People, they will understand if what we do is good or not. That's why here it says, today Spiritism says the same thing to its followers. Do not violate any conscience. Do not force anyone to live his love or to live his faith or his love to adopt yours. Do not excommunicate those who do not think like you, and welcome all of those to join you, and live in peace all of those who are repelled by your ideas, who do not agree with your ideas. Remind yourselves of the words of Christ. In other words, in other times, the heavens were taken over by violence, but today they are taken over by mildness. So before, we used to use violence in order to conquer the others, in order to impose what we believe. But today, the world that we are living and we are changing, which we always talk, the world of regeneration, and even further, this kind of world where beings, they still would have carry some kind of evil inside of them, but much less, and gradually this evil will become less and less and less until we only would have good in our hearts. So in that time, that is not today yet, and maybe not tomorrow, but it's in the future for sure. As it says here, the world will be taken by love, by mildness, by good actions, not for the fight, not by a fight or by imposition. So yeah, that's what chapter 25 said to us. It's a very quiet chapter. We split the chapter 25 in two sections. So the chapter was Seek and You Will Find, and we finished that today. And next week, we're going to start chapter 26, which is Give for free what has been given to you gratuitously. Sorry. So give for free what has been given to you for free also, basically, which is going to be chapter 26. Okay, guys, some announcements here. Okay. We're going to be having our virtual healing today at 8:30 on our YouTube channel. Okay, so you just have to go on our YouTube channel, and once you are there, our healing team will give the virtual healing. Okay, for those who would like to learn a little bit more about the Spiritist, Spiritist book, we have our Spiritist studies book every Wednesday. Okay, at the 8th, let me give me a blank here. So every Wednesday at 8 p.m., you guys can send an email to spiritismisland@gmail.com, and there someone will reply to you, and you guys can participate. Okay, we are back. Also, a red. Let me check here the date. So you guys can follow our page on Facebook. You guys gonna find all the details. Okay, about our schedule. Yes, guys, please come to our Facebook page, and you guys gonna check everything. But we were back already last Saturday. That's it, guys. Thank you very much for everyone, guys. We're gonna do our final prayer today. Now. So, for those who would like to close your eyes. I would invite you to close your eyes, take a deep breath. Again, would like to thank you, dear God, for all the blessings that we have, all the opportunities that we have had in our lives. Also, I would like to thank tonight all the friends from the spiritual side of Ireland for this time that I was here. Thanks for the opportunity to be talking about Spiritism, about the Gospel of Jesus, and thanks for all the friends that I met on this journey, and all the teachings and the lessons that I was able to at least to grasp inside of my heart. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Good night.